Today we're going to start working on exponents and the rules of exponents. And there's a couple of vocabulary words I want to remind you about because we use them all the time. The first one is the word base. The base is our number, and then the exponent is what we're raising it to. So the base is really the factor that we multiply times itself, however many times the exponent says. So a lot of times I'll talk about the base and the exponent. We're going to start with zero exponents because they're kind of a special situation. So what I want you to do is I want you to use your calculator, and I want you to type in 3 and raise it to the power of 0 and press enter. And when you do that, you get 1. So pause your video and do number 2 and number 3, and then start the video back up for an explanation. Okay, so I'm sure that you got 1 as your answers for both of those. So we can go ahead and just get a conjecture or a rule for a zero exponent, that any number other than 0 that you raise to a 0 power is going to be 1. So any base that we have, if we raise it to a 0 power, it's going to be 1. The other rule that you need to know about are negative exponents, because a simplified polynomial, if I say simplify something, negative exponents are not allowed. So we have to simplify away the negative exponent. All a negative exponent means is it's a fraction. It means that our base needs to move to the other side of the fraction line. So if you're looking at this first one, you go, well, hey, there's no fraction. Well, everything is always over 1, even though we don't write it. So a negative exponent, we have a little point that says cross the line and change the sign. So it's just saying wherever that negative exponent, wherever that base is, you've got to cross the line, so move it to the other side, and change the sign. So that's our rule for negative exponents. Cross the line and change the sign. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and practice just evaluating things with zero exponents and negative exponents. So I want you to do numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 on your own, pause your video, and then check back to check your answers. Okay, hopefully you got all of those correct. The biggest thing is if you left it number 3 and 3 to the power of 4, I want you to go ahead with numbers and simplify them all the way. So go ahead and find out what the actual answer is, which is 1 over 81. Okay, so let's do number 5 together. And on number 5, think of these exponents like a big puzzle. Just find a place to start. Find an easy place to start in on it. So I can see for me an easy place to start is I know anything raised to the 0 power is 1. So I got rid of that. Now I've just got the 2 to the negative 3 over 1. So I know that my base of 2 is on the wrong side of the line. So I'm going to cross the line and change the sign of my exponent. And if nothing is left on top, I put a 1. And then I'm going to go ahead and just simplify my number to 1/8. Okay, on number 6, we've got 2 unhappy or negative exponents. So we've got 2 bases that need to cross the line. So my negative 3, that's kind of a special situation. What that really is, the 3 has the negative exponent, but this negative 1 is not attached to the exponent. So that negative is fine where it is. It does not need to cross the line. But my 3 does need to cross the line and change the sign of my exponent. And my 2 on bottom needs to cross the line and change the sign of my exponent. Okay, so when I did that, then I can just simplify this. I've still got a negative. 2 to the 3rd power is 8, and 3 squared is 9. Okay, I want you to do number 7 and number 8 on your own, so pause your video, do the work, and then check back for the answer and explanation. Okay, as long as you realize that the 7 being raised to the 0 power is a 1, but the negative is not being raised to the 0 power, so the negative stays there. Then you should have gotten that one fine. And the negative 5 on number 8 is inside parentheses, so that whole thing becomes a 1. Okay, so number 9, number 10, and number 11 I want you to do on your own. So pause your video, do 9, 10, and 11, and then start it up for the answers and explanation. I find it helps to look at these things as puzzles. The first one, number 9, that was a very simple one. Number 10, just getting used to your base being a variable instead of a number. And then number 11, I looked at it as a puzzle, and the easiest place for me to start was to take my a to the 0 power and make it a 1. So I had 6 times 1 was 6. Then my b to the negative 2, I moved my base across the line and changed the sign, and that gave me the answer. Okay, I also want you to finish up doing number 12, 13, and 14 on your own. Think of them as puzzles. Don't let 14 scare you with all the different things. Address one little piece at a time until you get it all done. So pause your video while you do the work, and then check back to check your answers and the final explanation. So the biggest place I see people have trouble on these three is number 14. And the only real trouble is once you have simplified 2 to the 3rd power is 8, and then you bring your 8 to the negative 1, you bring it to the top. Sometimes people forget that is 8 times 8, and 8 times 8 is 64.